done with the presentation on the subject?
No, I was pointing that out, and I was giving that as, that's one of the reasons that we're doing that. The other issue is that one of the things that we should do, and we talked about it, and I heard the audience and folks on both sides, is that this amendment that would be part of what I've offered would also limit the duration of the issuance of the license for the non-Social Security number issued license, which would be going, of course, in most instances to the undocumented. This would give them ability to preventing fraud, to allow them to get a license, but that license would only be issued for 2 years as opposed to the longer issued license. So it would mean that folks coming in that are documented, that have the Social Security card documentation, would be able to get a 4-year or 8-year license. And folks that don't have the Social Security would be limited to a 2-year license. Therefore, there would be a delineation, if we would adopt this, that the non-Social Security issued licenses would be 2-year licenses, and the Social Security card issued licenses would be the 4 or 8-year licenses. And I would suggest that that's a delineation that fits both within the Homeland Security arena and also with regard to the other people being issued licenses of the longer duration. And in fact, we can get to a method, I guess, and there's been talk about this, and you and I visited briefly on it, that there may be a way to even delineate that more besides the mere fact that a 2-year license, 4 or 8-year licenses being the difference. 2 years being a license issued without a Social Security card, 4 and 8 years for the license issued with a Social Security card.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Martinez, the issuing the 2 years, if they don't have a Social Security number, they still issue the driver's license illegal. And that portion I couldn't support it.
Yeah, and I appreciate that, and Mr. Chairman and Representative Munoz, I guess that's what we're getting to, and that's honestly what we're trying to create this solution. Looking at the things that we're worried about, the cases of people bringing people in to get licenses, setting up fraudulent applications by using one address more than once, charging people to get licenses, would make that a crime. And we look at the fact that you're going to have licenses issued to people with Social Security cards 4 and 8 years, but the undocumented, give them an opportunity to get a 2-year license, shortened term. They'd have to prove residency, try to prevent any fraud with regard to that, and if there is any fraud, make it a crime both ways. So I guess the bottom line is there's some of us that worry about the immigrant community knowing that they're here. And I think you and I agree on this, and I think you said it very well. We're here dealing with these tough issues because the federal government has failed to solve this problem. There is a problem in the United States of America of immigration. We have to have a solution with regard to immigration. I think the numbers we've heard are as high as, what is it, 20 million undocumented within the United States?
I have no idea. They say
8 to 20 million. So we know that it's a reality. We all know anecdotally, we all know folks that are here undocumented. And so what we're trying to do is deal with the reality, deal with the cards that were dealt to us, not by our inaction, Representative, you've been working hard on this, but by the federal government inaction. So the reality of it is twofold. We have them here, the people here, they're children of God, they're brothers and sisters, they could be cousins, they could be parents, you know. So how do we deal with that reality? And I think there's some of us here at this table that would like to deal with that reality by giving them the opportunity to come up from the shadows just a little bit, because they've had it since 2003, and just have that ability to get to work, get to school, get to church. And then at the same time, really hit the bad guys hard. In other words, if you're a bad guy, you're trafficking people in to give them licenses fraudulently, make it a felony specific under this statute, and actually provide for any bad guy, any licenses issued to the bad guys, make it an ability in this statute to to go back and call those back and cancel them. So with that, Mr. Chair, I would, at the appropriate time, move that we do not pass House Bill 3, but do pass House Labor and Human Resources Committee substitute for House Bill 103. I promise at that time when we make that motion, I don't want to do other people talk, that I will continue to work with Representative Nunez as we go to the next committee to see if there's even more we can do or even closer we can get with regard to it. And we both know that this has got to go to the Senate and get to the Senate. And I think the Senate's watching to see what work we can accomplish in the House and how close we can get to something that would actually go to the Senate and be something that's amenable to our executive, because we know the governor would, of course, have a big say in this as well. That's all I have at this time.
Thank you, Representative Martinez. Members, we're on the discussion of this, still have no motion, but we're on discussion of the substitute bill. Questions, discussion on the substitute bill? Representative Izal?
Mr. Chairman, a point of clarification. Was the motion made by Representative Martinez to accept the committee substitute?
Mr. Chairman, I just made a motion for discussion purposes, and I said I would make the motion, but I don't want to do it to close the debate. I want to allow everybody to talk about the sub now that it's here, and at the appropriate time, I'll make that motion. Because the motion will be, do not pass on the bill, but a do pass on the sub, which would in effect move his bill out of committee to the floor committee report, and then go to judiciary.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if that's the case, then I move that do pass on House Bill 103.
We have a due pass motion on House Bill 103 by Representative Izal, and a second by Representative Biddle. Questions, discussion on the due pass motion? Representative Izal.
And I want to do this in the proper format, so I guess the proper format at this time would be to move the table so we can get back to the council. So I would move the table, House Bill 103, but not permanently, because I'd like to get back onto the substitute.
Okay, we have a motion, motion to table, House Bill 103, second by Representative Martinez, seconded by Representative Chavez. Table motion is non-debatable. The secretary will call the roll on the table motion.
They killed.
House Bill 103.
Representative Izal?
No.
Representative Lewis?
No.
Representative Little?
No.
Representative Martinez?
Yes, on the table.
Representative Miera?
Yes, ma'am.
Representative Stapleton? Yes. Representative Woolley? Representative Chavez? Yes. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Yes, to table.
Of
By a
course.
vote of 5 in the affirmative, 4 in the negative, House Bill 103 is tabled.
Always.
So back on discussion of the substitute bill. Representative Izal, I think you still have
Mr. Chairman, do you want me to direct these questions to Representative Martinez or to Representative Nunez? Or do I have the discretion to make that decision myself?
Representative Izal, we're discussion of the substitute, and you can refer your questions to either the sponsor or the House Bill 103 or the sponsor of the substitute.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to belabor this issue. I'm assuming that the sponsor and people that are very aware of what the substitute bill will do, will allow them to do. It'll be status quo, is that correct? Representative Nunez?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
And so, Mr. Chairman, what I'm hearing from Representative Nunez is that we would still be allowing driver's license for illegals, is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, please, that's correct.
And so, Mr. Chairman and Representative Nunez, the safety of the citizens of our state would be at risk, and we would still be at risk nationally, is that correct?
Correct.
Mr. Chairman, Representative Ezel, yes.
And Mr. Chairman and Representative Nunez, is there any part of the committee substitute where the areas have been changed contrary to what your bill said that you agree with?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Ezel, I would agree with the first portion that we went over on the penalties, and then, because we had it in our original bill, and then we took it out because it's already in law, but if you put it in here, it's pretty plain.
Okay.
That's the only portion that.
Okay, so, Mr. Chairman, Representative Nunez, other than the first portion of it, you are not in agreement on the rest of that, is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Ezel.
Okay, and so, Mr. Chairman, what we will see is the continual fraudulent use of bank statements, utility bills, everything else that has been happening since 2003 for illegals to obtain driver's license.
Representative Ezel, if we use this, the substitute bill, yes.
Okay, and Mr. Chairman and Representative Nunez, this bill originally, the law went into effect in 2003, is that correct?
That's it, Mr. Chairman.
And so, Mr. Chairman and Representative Nunez, it's been almost 10 years since that law did
I
go
got
into effect. And so people have had the opportunity to become legal through one way or another, is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Ezel, that's absolutely correct.
Okay, so Mr. Chairman and Representative Nunez, what I am understanding then, because of 9 years have gone by on whenever the law was first passed, people did have the opportunity to become legal to obtain the Mexico driver's license instead of the fraudulent use of it. And it has not changed, so we are still seeing human trafficking going on in the meantime. And if the substitute bill is passed, we will still see human trafficking continue, is that correct?
Mr. Chairman, Representative Ezel, I will just say yes.
Mr. Chairman and Representative Nunez, it's whenever I've heard the testimony from everybody here that was working with Representative on House Bill 103, we have heard that there's documented cases of people from China, India, Russia, Brazil, Korea, Poland, and Costa Rica fraudulently getting the Mexico driver's license. Like I said earlier, my job here as an elected official is to uphold our Constitution and look out for the safety and well-being of the citizens of the state of New Mexico. And Mr. Chairman, I'm afraid that if we do go with the committee substitute for House Bill 103, it will remain the status quo. Nothing will change. And that is putting our citizens' life at risk, and it is still a national security risk. Mr. Chairman, unfortunately, I cannot support the committee substitute. Thank you very much for allowing me to stop.
Thank you, Representative Ezel. Further questions, discussion on the substitute? Representative Martinez, did you wish to respond to the question?
No, I was just gonna make sure we're procedurally correct, because I was gonna move that we remove the bill from the table for purposes of moving the committee substitute, which would be a do not pass. But since we tabled it, I just want to remove it from the table, because my intention was never permanently table it, it's just to remove it from the table for purposes of going to this. I just want to make sure we did that right, Chairman. So I move that we remove House Bill 103 from the table for purposes of discussion, motion on the Labor Committee substitute.
Okay, I'll entertain that motion. Is there a second?
I'm confused.
Okay,
Now they're saying they're not
we have a
going to table.
motion to remove House Bill 103 from the table.
Now they're saying they're not going to.
And may,
For the purpose of the motion and discussion of House Labor and Human Resources Committee substitute for House Bill.
okay,
I don't know if you're
we have a proper second.
person who has the bill doesn't want to substitute.
Those in support of the motion, raise your hand. Those in opposition to the motion? Okay, by a vote of 5 yeas, negative, House Bill 103 is removed from the table and be made part of the discussion of House Bill substitute for House Bill 103.
Not explaining my vote, I didn't want to vote no on the due pass, because if it was a majority voting no on the due pass, it would have